Tuesday, July 11th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we begin convention season 2007.
Let's do this.
Well, there's no more denying it. It is fully 100% con season. Scott and I are not going to have a moment's rest until the Monday after Otakon when we wake up on the beach and do not leave it.
For about 9 days or so.
Give or take.
Yeah, something like that.
I might leave the beach after a couple of days to go play some DDR, but then it's right back to that beach.
Yep. Also might go away from the beach to just throw some money down a toilet. But
oh, yeah.
It might also come back.
Well, the last time we threw money down that toilet, a whole bunch more money came back.
Well, you know, it wasn't my fault that someone clogged up the toilet. So it backed up, and all this other money someone else threw down there shoved right back up and into my wallet.
I gotta say, anecdotal evidence doesn't mean much, but from the perspective of the experiences of myself and Scott, gambling is awesome, and people just give you free money.
Well, we don't need to do a whole episode about this, because
No,
I
we
only
don't.
have one thing to say about gambling. Gambling in a casino is no different than playing in an arcade. You spend money to get entertainment, and then the entertainment is quick and over. You know, it's like putting 50 cents in a Time Crisis machine isn't really that different from putting 50 cents in a slot machine.
Well, unless
The
you're playing
thing is-
Gigawing, because then you can play for like an hour.
Well, I know, but the time, the entertainment you're getting is much less, but the chance of winning money, you know, if you like that, if that entertains you, then that's what you're
man,
doing.
I just, to this day, and this has been a fantasy of mine as a kid, imagine a real arcade with real games where somehow
Yes. No
you
one
got
will
money
ever
back.
allow a game of skill to award you money. Ever.
I know, but I can dream.
Yes.
I can dream.
Yes, but anyway.
Because let me tell you, Rampart World Champion,
So
oh yeah.
the key to a casino is you have to assume that any money you gamble at a casino is gone. You're just it's like spending money on Time Crisis. You spent the money, it's never coming back. That's what you have to assume.
When I was a kid and I went to the arcade, I had my $5, or usually more like $2,
Yep.
and I put it in, I get my tokens, and I had to spend all those tokens.
So when you go to a casino, you do the same thing. You're putting money, you turn the money into chips. That money is gone. Pretend the money's never coming back. Then you go and play games with your tokens/chips until you're done having fun, or until you run out of tokens and chips. And then if you have any left over, the casino just happens to be nicer than the arcade, and they let you turn it back into money. And
Now,
the arcade doesn't. That's how it works.
If you feel the urge to go buy more chips, hit
Don't.
yourself. Just hit yourself.
You never buy more chips. So it's like you go to the arcade, you put a 20 in the change machine, and you don't get any more. Same thing at the casino. You take $200 and you say, this $200 is going away and never coming back.
Now, by
And
the
then
same
you
token,
never put any more in.
if you get ahead by an amount of money that would be nice if you had,
Yeah, say a jackpot.
if you get ahead to the point where getting that amount of money suddenly in cash would be a significant boon to your life,
Hey,
cash
I
out
just-
immediately.
Yes, hey,
you're
look,
gonna lose it all.
I just won 10 grand. That could pay off my car. I will cash out now and not continue playing any games.
Because the odds are always in the casino's favor. If you have a good luck streak, the odds are that will not continue. Because
over
the odds,
time, if you just sit in the casino and play forever, you will eventually lose everything.
that's why rich people gamble. Because if you have a lot of money to gamble, you can ride out the bad luck. And then when you have good luck, once you break even or get above, you cash out as soon as you've broken even or gotten above.
Yep. Of course, a lot of, eventually, you just won't get a good luck streak and you lose all your money.
Yep,
And
that's why you gotta...
That's why guys who run casinos are loaded.
Man, we should run a casino.
We should. Anyway.
So,
So-
we've talked about this a couple of times in the last week or two, and I'd like to bring it up one more time. We have already got two fine, upstanding gentlemen who are going to hopefully put on one hell of a show for us. We've got some guest hosts for next week for the Wednesday
Not
night
next
show.
week, 2 weeks from now.
All right, 2 weeks from now, right?
Yes.
I keep forgetting that Otakon's next weekend.
Yes.
And we have this other con, Connecticon, this weekend.
Yes.
But, yeah, our tradition starting last year was to get guest hosts of high caliber and high quality to do the show for us. Last year, we had Richard and Allison from Movies You Should See, and they did a bang-up job. This year, we've got two unnamed individuals for whom I have nothing but the highest of esteem.
Well, that didn't give it away at all.
It could be Daryl and Gerald and not Clarissa, because I said gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't say there wasn't a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely Anime World Order. I can tell you that.
I'm sure.
It has nothing to do with karate or...
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I ruined it there.
Yeah, you did.
You know what, though? I had an ulterior motive, and I'm going to be forthright and tell you all my ulterior motive.
All right.
Now they can't back down.
Oh.
Now they can't back out.
While I am looking forward to what they come up with, I did have a feeling that they would not come through and end up, because, I mean, how long did it take them to do the Valiant Denims?
See, I told them, though, all they have to do is record the show. They don't have to edit it at all. I'll take care of all that.
All right. Well,
Even better, I know that they would have come through eventually because they're that way. They'll always finish what they started. It just
eventually.
might take a year or two.
Yep. Oh, well.
So my last call, if any of you out there, now, when I say any of you, you're all welcome to try, but seriously, we mean people who have podcast or audio experience or you think you can do a really good job with this.
Yes, if you think you want to make a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday episode of Geeknights, and you want it to go up in the feed of Geeknights as, the episode for 2 weeks from now, tell us. Don't go and make one and then send it to us because we might say, no. Ask us first, and then we'll tell you if you should make one or not.
Yes, if
I guess you're free to make one if you want to, but I don't want anyone to, do work and make an episode and then us not use it. That'll be kind of sad.
Yeah. Now, if you don't hear from us, the answer was probably no. That's just because we don't have time to check our freaking email anymore. Good God, you people. The forums are beyond my control at this point.
Yes. Oh, if you signed up for the forum and you didn't get an email that said, welcome to the forum, just come back to the forum and sign in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Water is Poison has been a moderator now for a while. He's doing a great job. We're probably going to need some more moderators because this is just getting nuts.
But don't ask, because if you have to ask, you're not going to be a moderator.
And I think we need a secretary to read our email to us.
Maybe.
But however, if we say no or we don't respond, that in no way means that you are bad people. In fact, to the few submissions we've gotten already, all I want to say is try next year. All you got to do is have a year of experience, and you'll probably be good enough.
Yep.
It's just a matter of experience.
Yeah, we don't want to put, remember we did that worst podcast episode?
Yeah.
We wouldn't let, what was that terrible, terrible podcast?
What, Anime Pulse?
No, the other one. The one with the little kids.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, we don't want that to go in our feed. I mean, more power to you doing that kind of thing. I mean, it's awesome that you care about us so much that you'll make a Geeknights episode, but yeah, we have standards.
Yeah, and I don't really mean to rag on Anime Pulse. You guys are cool. It's just that you guys have been coming up in our forums a lot lately.
People just keep mentioning them when they were probably one of the least worst, even though they still made the worst.
I would contend that Anime Pulse is better than a full majority of podcasts in the world.
Probably.
Sadly, podcasts are usually not that good.
Yes.
But I digress.
So that means they're in the top 51% of podcasts, which is bad because 90% of podcasts suck. Oh, well.
Anyway.
Anime
yes.
times.
One other little quick thing. I just want to get this out. I'm not doing a news tonight, partly because I'm really tired and partly because
I'm also really tired.
I have a very fancy new piece of equipment that we got air freighted overnight to us for Connecticon and Otakon, and I really want to push all these buttons.
There aren't too many buttons on it, though.
I know, but each one of them does a lot.
Yeah?
They feel good when you press them, too. They have that little thunk of a high-quality device.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so a while ago, we did our show on Ava. We reviewed Ava despite all inclinations that we probably shouldn't tackle something like that. And we said we're going to do a final thoughts episode, complete with spoilers. And I figured this time, unlike with other shows we've spoiled, I want to give you some time. We're not going to do this for a month or two. So if you want to hear our final thoughts on Ava, and you don't want to have to skip an episode of Geeknights sometime in September or October, I'd recommend watching Ava in the next few months.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again. I haven't seen it in years.
I've seen it a good 5 times, so I think I'm good.
2 times, maybe, I think.
Yeah, well, the second time was
and all
when
of those are freshman year at RIT, so I haven't seen it since 2000.
Wow,
2001.
God, I think we did watch it twice at RIT.
No, I watched it once by myself and then once with everyone else.
We marathoned it at RIT. I didn't stay for the whole thing.
Ah.
I just subbed for someone.
I didn't do that.
Anyway, that's my news, Geeknights stuff. And to anyone who comes to the cons we're going to talk about, I'm going to have something really fancy, and I'm going to be carrying it around and babying it and shoving microphones in people's faces.
Great.
It's going to be grand.
No. All right. So, 2 weeks ago was Anime Expo. And for those of you who do not know, Anime Expo is the biggest anime convention in North America outside of Japan, I think. They claim to have 40,000 plus people in attendance, but we're not sure how they count those numbers. So, it could be that includes dealers. It could be they count people for 3 days if they come for the whole week. Well, actually, it's a 4-day con. You know? So, that immediately adds because they have the Thursday-only people coming in and stuff like that, right? But anyway, it is the biggest con, regardless of the accuracy of their attendance numbers.
Granted, Otakon is clear and far away number 2. It's not like
Yes.
there's any contention
And
there.
I have never been west of Michigan.
I have never been west of Chicago.
Yeah, so neither of us have ever been to Anime Expo, and everything we know about it is from what we read of people's testimonies who have gone there and things we read on the internet about the convention. That's all we know about it.
Yep, this year's been a little bit of an exception, just in that there was a lot of Anime Expo news leading up to the con, and I read it all, and I was actually excited about it.
Yes, see, prior to this year, our general opinion of Anime Expo was that it was a very industry convention, which is true. It is a very industry convention, and we tend to more like the fan-run conventions than the industry conventions.
Otakon, Katsucon,
Yes, that's why we
Animazement.
tend to not like comic conventions, because comic conventions are very industry, but like Mocha is very not industry. That's why we like it so much. So, because also when you go to an industry con, we could probably do an episode about industry versus fan cons.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, we'll not talk about it then. But our general opinion of Anime Expo is that, it's big, it's industry, we don't really care about it. Well, this year, looking at all the press releases from Anime Expo online, I actually thought maybe they were going to clean themselves up. Maybe they were going to be pretty awesome this year because the programming they had lined up on paper was awesome. They had that Skin concert that was the news a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
They had Yoshiki and Gact in the same band, and it was crazy.
That's absolutely unbelievable. That's pretty much as big as
Yeah,
when
it's like
Laraku...
the world premiere of a brand new band with like 2 of the biggest rock stars in Japan in the same band. That's just craziness. So they had that. They also had a whole bunch of other stuff. There was like multiple concerts and all sorts of other crazy awesome events. I'm not even going to list them because you can just go read the press releases of Anime Expo. But I was very if Anime Expo was closer, I would have just gone just for the programming that they said they were going to have.
I would have as well. I mean, it doesn't draw me as hard as PAX does, but that's because PAX is very special in that it's really, while it is nominally the Penny Arcade Expo, it's really the Rim has a Nerdgasm Expo.
Pretty much.
Every year I look at PAX and I just yearn for it.
Yeah. They had the best, most enticing programming of any convention.
For the cost of this Marantz, one of us could have gone.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, apparently, according to the internets again, because that's all I know about Anime Expo, so this could be completely wrong, but I doubt it. Anime Expo did have all this awesome programming, but they had big problems this year, apparently.
Now, these reports are quite a bit more widespread than what you would normally get at a con, because every anime con ever, in the feedback and all the con reports, there's always that small percentage of people who bitch about everything.
Yeah,
and
they're like, oh, the cosplay was not judged according to these exact rules that I wanted it to be judged by.
Or the elevators were too small for my bountiful body.
Yes. Or this panel ran 5 minutes short. Or my panel we had to wait 10 minutes before we could go in because the voice actors before us had a crowd around them and they would not disperse.
I love the people who
Or I
complain.
couldn't get into this panel because I didn't wait in line early enough.
My favorite people are the people who complain about the AMVs over which the con has almost no control.
Yeah.
Well, almost no control. There's one thing they could do, but
They
I'm not going
can
to get into
filter
that.
the best from the worst, but if the best are still crap, what can they do about it?
Yeah.
Not have AMVs?
More
Then what would
importantly-
people complain about?
The people who complain about the freaking weather. What do you think Otakon's going to do about the fact that it's hot in Baltimore in August?
Yeah, are they going to move the convention to a different time of year?
Yeah.
Maybe when you're in school and you can't go, you punk kids?
No, we'll just move up to Michigan. Granted, it's still like
so
90
then
degrees there.
Oh, so everyone will just complain about it being freezing cold. Or, oh, it's now far away from my house, I can't go. Or- yeah. Anyway, despite if you'd subtract all the people who complain about any convention no matter what, Anime Expo seems to have had huge problems. That awesome concert that I just talked about was delayed for multiple hours. People had to wait in line outside, not being able to enjoy any other part of the convention because they had to wait in line for multiple hours before they could get in to see this concert. And some people reviewing the concert said, while it was pretty awesome, it wasn't super awesome, and it wasn't super long either. It was kind of not so long as you wanted a concert to be.
Meanwhile, back at Otakon when Lark came, not only did they do a complete, full, just straight-up set at a concert, like any arena concert, and a gigantic encore, but everything happened pretty much right on schedule.
Yep.
But that's kind of comparing apples and oranges, so...
Yep. Well, also, a lot of other things at this convention were constantly being canceled and delayed and moved around. And we're not talking about just one concert. It seems like the vast majority of the big events were canceled and moved and changed and delayed.
Not just that, but a lot of people complain that almost all the panels got moved around or canceled or delayed.
Yeah. The biggest one, at least the one that had the biggest talk going on about it, is there's someone named Halko Momoy. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But apparently she's like the queen of Akihabara or something like that.
I forgot about that.
I'm not exactly sure. But what the story is that she was very upset with how, this is a Japanese guest, and she was very upset with how, her interactions with the convention staff, and they basically, weren't meeting her needs, and she, posted on her blog that she was upset or something.
And then obviously her PR wrangler got a hold of her and told her to retract it.
Yeah, but whatever. But the thing is that basically she had to choose on, one day of the con whether she basically had to decide between having her concert or doing all her other events instead of just as scheduled doing all her events and her concert. So she canceled all her appearances for one day of the con and only did the concert and didn't do anything else that she was going to do. And she was all apologizing to the fans and being like, I will do my best in this concert for you. These evil con staff fucked me over. I hate them. People were crying. Ah.
Yeah, see, it's really hard to say how much of that might be a pampered guest versus... I don't know anything about her.
It's very hard to tell from a blog post across the world, if this is a pampered guest who was upset or if con logistics dicked her over or a combination or who knows what.
One thing I find interesting is that I was poking around in the Anime Expo forums, and there's a lot of outcry there, and people demanding answers and demanding an explanation and all sorts of things. And I couldn't find many, if any, responses from the staff. In fact, there's a bunch of people trying to get together to go over to where the staff is located, where their place of business is, and knock on the door and try to get an answer.
Oh.
I don't know if the responses are official somewhere else, but I got the impression that the staff was kind of hiding from the con.
I don't know. Impressions on the internet don't tell us anything. I have no idea what the reasons were for all these problems. I don't know who to blame. I don't even know any of the staff. I don't know anything. But I do know is that the con had major problems with a lot of events. That is absolutely true. That is what happened. And I thought poorly of Anime Expo before, and I still think poorly of them no matter how awesome their programming is, and they're not doing too much to fix that. And if someone across the country who's never been to your con, and it's someone who likes cons, thinks poorly of your con, that's pretty poor.
Meanwhile, I gotta say, I'm more and more impressed with Katsucon every year.
Oh, yeah.
It's fast becoming my second favorite or favorite con.
Katsucon was very awesome, and I only went to one of them.
Yeah, I've been to 3, and I will admit, though, on the second Katsucon I went to, I achieved, for about 6 hours, epic level drunkenness.
Whoa.
It was quite an experience.
I think that's Katsucon's thing, though.
It is. That's why I like Katsucon. There's a lot more people my age. I can go to a bar and just chill with a bunch of older anime fans.
But it's not a hentai con.
No, it's not. Like that Rhode Island thing's gonna be?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
I have high hopes for that. My cynicism of the
I
world.
have low expectations, but a lot of hope.
Cynicism greater than optimism.
Exactly. At least for that.
Things of the day.
A long time ago, I had a thing of the day, which was MIOTD.com. It's a website that is mecha image of the day. And every day, they have a mecha image. And it's a really awesome site. I subscribe to the RSS feed, and it's really good. Well, my thing of the day today is a particular image from the mecha image of the day. On July 9th, they put up this picture, and it's a picture I feel like I've seen before. But I'm not sure where I've seen it before, and I'm sure some nerd out there can tell me. But this image is a mashup, a really good mashup, that looks a lot like... Basically, it combines like a Hildebrandt Brothers Star Wars movie poster with a picture of a bunch of nerds in the front row of a concert, and Star Wars and a concert where the Star Wars characters are making a rock band of themselves, and it's... If you like Star Wars at all, this is something to see. But my only question is, why is this a mecha image of the day? I mean, sure, the droids are back there and Darth Vader's there, but It's not a mecha image.
You know what? I don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter. Every geek should see this picture. That's the only
three
reason
things
it's my
I
thing
will
of the
point
day.
out about this picture that are awesome. Number one, Darth Vader is awesome
Darth
in this
Vader's
picture.
always awesome.
Number two, Han Solo, the way he is engaging the crowd is awesome.
He's always awesome.
Yeah. And number three, notice the guy in the audience with a lightsaber.
Yep. Basically, if you're a geek of any kind, it's just a picture you need to see. That's why it's the thing of the day.
Right. So imagine a Zerg rush.
Okay.
All right. Now imagine a Zerg rush where the target is not a human or a Terran or whatever, but
Yep. Or
a poor,
Protoss.
some poor kitten. That's a pretty scary image, isn't it?
I mean, one Zerg can kill a kitten.
One Zerg could take both of us out in this room handily. That's why I'm so afraid of real-world StarCraft.
Yeah, but remember, if real-world StarCraft happens, we'll have all those Terran equipments.
Watch, we don't. We're just normal people. The Terrans come from space.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of the zombie apocalypse, we was
It's
talking
no
about...
different than Alien.
No, yeah, you know what? That would also kill us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I could take Alien because I've seen the movie. As long as I had those equipments, you know.
As
those
long
little
as you
turrets.
don't... Yeah,
I
maybe.
played enough natural selection.
The problem is we don't have those machine guns that have 1 billion bullets.
That's what we. If there's aliens, we'll have those. That's how it works.
All right, so now take
We
the
have
image
flamethrowers.
I've just given you, but replace the Zerg with an enormous number of corgi puppies. And it is
Oh well,
one...
that's much safer.
They're much easier to take out, but I gotta say, this is one of the most adorable things I've ever seen.
It was all right.
The thing I don't
I
like
think
to...
the problem is they don't Zerg rush enough. It's just
Yeah, it devolves into just puppies playing and then puppies sleeping. You can skip all that, but the first bit, you might think, that's just like 2 or 3 puppies, and that cat just looks mildly annoyed. Just wait for it, and watch until the cat gets away, and you don't really need to watch the rest, but...
not the best animal video. Not as good as turtle attacking cat, but
I don't know, I
still
like
good.
this. I like this more than turtle, but that's just because you like turtles more than me.
Yeah, it's
Not
also
that-
not as good as rabbit attack snake.
No, it's not, because that is still the baddest ass rabbit ever.
Yeah.
Like a rabbit that lives in a lion's den.
Why do you like that turtle? It's not you.
I don't like to do, random cute animal, but this one was particularly cute. And the fact that they called it a Zerg Rush meant that I had to talk about it.
Okay.
So, it's con season, like we said. We're not going to rest until the Monday after Otakon. And then none of you are going to hear a peep out of us until the Monday after Otakon.
So we're going to spend this episode telling you what cons we're going to here and what we're doing at those cons.
I guess we'll go in chronological order.
Sounds good to me.
So this weekend,
As in July 13, 14, 15.
we are going to be at Connecticon 2007. Connecticon is located at the, Hartford Convention Center?
I think that's if it didn't move.
We'll link to the website. I'm sure you can find it. I've got a hotel
Connecticut
room.
Convention Center on Columbus Boulevard in Hartford, Connecticut on July 13th through 15th, 2007.
Now, we are going to be there Friday, but we're pretty much going to have a few drinks with friends and go to bed. The reason being that over the course of Saturday, we are doing 6 live shows, and then on Sunday, we are doing a 7th. And that is the minimum that we will be doing at this con. There's probably going to be more. Yeah, this will be a big test of our voices, because for those of you who saw us at Otakon last year, by Sunday, we had lost our voices to the point that we had to medicate. And I point out that Scott doesn't fucking take medicine ever.
Well, Halls doesn't really count so much as medicine.
We took the mentholated halls, and we took far more than a doctor would have let us.
Probably.
Yeah, we had to drug ourselves to be able to do the panel on Sunday. We had lost our voices so badly.
Yep.
And now we're doing 7.
Okay, so which 7 are we doing? Let's open up the con schedule.
Well, mostly pretty much all day Saturday. If you want to have a Geeknights event, we're either going to be in a panel or outside of a panel preparing for another panel. We're doing podcasting and internet radio on Saturday from 12:30 to 1:30 in panel. We don't need to say where they all are.
No, we don't need to say where they all. You'll see the con schedule.
Yeah, suffice to say, we've done this panel like 3 or 4 times. There are, in fact, 2 or 3 examples of it in the feed already. We're doing it partly because they were interested in it. They haven't had anything like that before at Connecticon, and I think Connecticon's probably a good match for it because there's probably a lot of people there who are really interested in podcasting and don't know a lot about it.
Yep. Oh, we're doing the How to Run an Anime Club right before that.
Yep, which we have run along with our friend Scott Johnson, the legendary Scott Johnson, as featured in New Type. We've been running this for like 5 or 6 years at pretty much every freaking con.
Yep.
So if you want to know how to run an anime con, or not an anime con, anime club, we run this everywhere. It's mostly for people who haven't seen this panel already.
Yep. All right. After the podcasting internet radio panel that we're doing, an hour and a half after that or so, we're going to do the anime match game for 2 hours. It's going to be like the deluxe anime match game of super awesome of all time.
Not only is this going to be awesome, not only did I write twice as many questions, not only did I get rid of the crappy questions, not only did we add so much to this, but we have got a lineup of celebrity guests from the con.
Yep,
So
I guess whoever's the best guest at the con is who we're going to get.
So it's not going to be the usual, all right, so Scott's on the panel along with Dave and Joel and whoever we could drag up 5 minutes before the con.
Yeah.
This is going to be some awesome guests.
Yeah, these are going to be like guests of honor at the con or official guests of the con are going to make up our panel at the match game.
Worst case, it's going to be a bunch of cool webcomic artists, which is always hilarious.
Yes, so...
Scott and I will probably take turns sitting as the sixth panelist.
Yeah, that's what we always seem to do.
That's always hilarious.
Yes, but this will be something you do not want to miss. In fact, looking at the schedule, like... it completely dominates everything running concurrent with it. So
yeah, plus we've run this a lot over the years, and I think this is going to be the best one because we have prepared more for this anime match game than we have for any anime match game we have ever run. Partly because we're not running it at Otakon like we'd offered to. So we're going to use all the Otakon awesome here.
Yep. All right, shortly after that, we're going to do the Challenger on Fire beta test.
Yes, I noticed this is also in the big panel room, so
Yes.
This should be awesome. We're not sure how this is going to work, and I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, basically, Challenger on Fire, it was a thing of the day a long time ago. Some Japanese game show where you have to name 100 anime characters. Well, we wrote a piece of software so that we would be able to run this game in the best fashion we can without our own custom studio. And we're going to try to run this game. This is going to be a beta test, though. We've never done this before. We don't know how it's going to work. We don't know how to run it smoothly.
Yep.
We're basically going to practice running it to see, try to figure out how to make it work at other cons in the future. So if you want to be a part of a first ever con event that will possibly become a very popular con event in the future, this is something you don't want to miss.
Yep, Connecticon has been very gracious in allowing us to test this, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think we're going to get a lot of good feedback, and it'll be fun, because think of this. Either we're going to run it awesomely, and you'll all love it, or we're going to totally fuck up, and you'll get to laugh at us for an hour straight.
Yep. I'm glad it's only an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many of these I'm going to finish by then. I got a lot of work to do still.
Yep.
Partly because of my emergency room adventure over the weekend.
Yep.
Anyway, then later on that night, we don't have all the details yet, but we're going to be running guest interviews ourselves. So there's going to be guests of the con who normally, when a con guest has a panel, they just kind of sit there and wing it. Or maybe they have someone from the con try to guide them. What we're going to do...
Or they have people from the audience ask the same dumbass questions over and over.
What we're going to do...
How did you become a voice actor? How do I become a voice actor?
What's your inspiration? Probably the crappiest question you can ever ask anyone at a con ever.
What's the favorite thing you've ever worked on?
Yep.
What are you working on now? Yeah.
I like to see the weird question. I like to see the questions where the guy goes, "What?"
Yep, those are my kind of questions.
Yeah. But anyway, we are going to be setting up, and it's not our panel really. We're just the moderators. We're going to be interviewing some of the guests of the con in front of everyone, and probably recording these for posterity. And hopefully our goal is that we can guide these interviews into being awesome. We want to bring out the shine of these guests. This is not a panel for
Yes.
us.
So imagine if you listened to like an episode of Geeknights where we had a celebrity guest, and we interviewed them all awesomely, right? Now this panel is basically going to be that, only live and in person. So if you like listening to an episode of Geeknights where we cleverly and awesomely interview a celebrity guest,
I'd like to point out particularly the Luke Crane interview, creator of Burning Wheel.
because we haven't done too many interviews, even though I got really good at them all of a sudden while interviewing Luke Crane.
Yes, it was really amazing because Scott had never really interviewed someone like that before. And he went from suck to awesome in about 2 questions.
Yeah.
And the rest of that thing is Scott did a really freaking good job.
Yeah.
And I've listened to that episode twice
Twice?
because I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good episode. I should go
Also
listen to it
because
again.
I was actually pretty drunk while you guys were doing the interview. So I was pretty much just sitting there watching the levels the whole time
Yeah.
and not saying much.
But if you want to hear some of that kind of awesome, this is a panel to go to.
So, after that, kind of late night, also on Saturday, we are running the beta version of Gekiga, putting the man back in manga.
Oh, yeah. We've
Now-
been thinking about doing this panel for a long time. It's probably our only panel that's actually an anime manga panel.
Yes, and I will point out, we'll talk about this in a bit, but this is our primetime event at Otakon, and we're running it at Otakon with none other than Gerald from Anime World Order,
Gerald Rathcole,
who assures us that while we're going to coordinate the whole panel, he has something special lined up for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
And he's hinted at what it is, but I'm really looking forward to it. But,
I think I know what it is, but oh, man.
So at Connecticon, it's not going to be that exact thing. We're not going to have Gerald. I don't think he wants to fly up for this, but
He's not going to come from Florida to Connecticon.
Basically,
rinky-dink con.
If you've listened to our
Well,
show
it's not that rinky-dink.
long enough, I like Connecticon. It's actually bigger than you'd think. But
yeah, but it's not. It's too small to be worth coming from Florida for.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
But anyway, what we're going to be doing is kind of our half of this panel. We're not going to do the kind of 18-plus super crazy humor. We're going to do just more of a half history of manga, half what this Geki guy is, and more importantly, we're just going to talk about all those genres of manga and all those manga that are out there that you probably haven't read that are probably really up your alley. A lot of people, maybe not you because you listen to our show and Anime World Order and you know all about this, but there's a lot of people who don't realize that there's manga other than pretty boys and pretty girls and shoujo.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the bookstore and basically what happened in the U.S. in manga, I'm just going to do this really quickly, I'm going to probably say the same stuff again at the actual panel, is that they originally brought manga to the U.S., all the crazy violent stuff, the stuff that went along with the anime. And Viz did it actually first and Dark Horse soon after. And most of it was ignored. It didn't sell very well. It sold to the comic crowd a bit and it didn't make a big splash. So they only kind of kept doing it, at a very slow pace and in the US comic book format and such. And then someone decided they're going to bring over some shoujo in the digest format, namely Tokyo Pop. And as you know, it exploded. The thing is, people realizing that, hey, we can make a lot of money by bringing shoujo-y and shonen jump type stuff, shonen fighting stuff, over to the U.S. in this format and make a lot of money off of it. And there's so much stuff in that format, they don't even bother to bring over anything else unless, because they can make plenty of money with just bringing over the same old stuff.
The end result of this is
people
that
go to the manga section of the bookstore and they think that manga is girly and shonen fighting and nothing else.
Yep. The true end result is that awesome manga, I forget the name of it, but Emily told me about it. It's by the same guy who did Eagle, and there's some natural disaster that splits Japan in two, and it's nothing but politicians and Yakuza arguing and looking dramatic. That's so up my alley I could cry. The fact that that kind of manga almost never gets released over here is probably one of the biggest tragedies of the manga industry in the U.S.
Yes. So we are going to tell you about as many of the manga, I think we'll go in depth on a few of them, but maybe we'll probably mention a whole bunch of others.
We're going to talk a lot about the history of manga and Tezuka and where the term Gekiga kind of came from and all that stuff.
Yeah, you probably heard it on Anime World Order if you listen to them. But
remember, this panel isn't
This panel isn't for people who listen to podcasts, for people at the con who, want to put the man back in their manga.
Yeah, because basically...
Or man back in their manga.
Manga! Part of the reason we named it what we did is for the ironic, tongue-in-cheek nature of... Because we expect a lot of people to come in expecting something very different from what we're going to do.
Yep.
However, I will note that at Otakon, they're going to get half of what we're going to do now, and half exactly what they expected. But that's why that's going to be 18+.
And that is why this Saturday at Connecticon is going to be crazy, because we're doing all that in one day.
We're doing 12 solid hours of entertainment.
Wow.
From 12:30 p.m. until 11:30 p.m.
Wow.
And then if we survive, because remember, the one cool thing about Connecticon are the awesome after parties. And I might have to not go to them, even though I know of some really cool ones. But anyway, if we survive, Sunday morning, we're running a panel on German board gaming.
Yep, basically the panel, we're just going to introduce people.
No, we're not. We're going to croak miserably into microphones and then cry.
We're going to attempt to tell people who don't know anything about German board games and have only played Monopoly and such about the wonderful world of, Euro board gaming. And it just so happens that Connecticon has an excellent gaming room where you can go and play these games. So hopefully we'll be able to convince a whole bunch of people who say German board game, that sounds interesting, and then we'll be able to convince them to go and play them right after the panel.
Connecticon has better gaming content than a lot of gaming cons.
It sure does. In fact, I'd go so far as to say Connecticon is half gaming con.
And I'm probably going to give away a board game or two because I happen to have a few board games laying around that are either unopened, even though they're awesome because I already own them.
Or that you don't want.
Or that I don't want.
Yep.
I'll make it very clear which is which.
Yep.
So thus, Connecticon
This weekend.
is going to be awesome if you're fans of us.
Yep.
However, if you want to hang out with us, I will warn you that we will probably not have time to say hi at Connecticon.
No, probably not. I mean, maybe Friday night, depending on when we get there, which I imagine might be 9, 10-ish, something like that.
Yeah, give or take. We're probably going to show
Gonna
up,
go to bed.
get our badges, and go straight to freaking sleep.
Yep. And Sunday after the German board gaming panel, I don't know how long we're going to hang around. We'll see what our plans are.
Yes, because you realize that pretty much right after Connecticon, we have not a single moment of rest, and then we're going to be at Otakon, ready to run.
Basically, 3 days of work after Connecticon is over, and then leave to go to Otakon. Bam. It's going to be that crazy.
So, Otakon. I'm not going to get into the issues that they had with panels, but partly due to the fact that we're friends with a few people on the staff.
Yes, we'll see how this turns out, and I guarantee you, despite our favor for Otakon and our enjoyment of it, we will not be dishonest in our reporting if things go poorly.
However, we did, despite the snafu of panels, manage to secure 4 panels at Otakon.
As well as an Artist Alley table.
Now, one of them is going to be with all the other podcasters because I submitted it, and they apparently also wanted to submit it. So I basically rolled them both into one and then handed it back over to them. But it's no big deal. It's going to be all our friend podcasters. We're going to sit around and shoot the shit in front of a crowd for a while.
Yeah, that'll probably be an off-the-cuff kind of panel. Be a lot of fun. If you like anime podcasters, there will be a lot of anime podcasters there talking about anime podcasting and possibly other anime manga topics.
We did this almost exact panel at Citicon, and I recorded it. The recording was unusable, but now we have the Morant, so we're probably going to get an awesome recording of it.
Yep. So even if you don't show up at Otakon, you'll probably still be able to hear that panel on the internets in someone's feed.
Yep.
Maybe not ours, but someone's.
Now, the second panel that we are responsible for, but we are not actually running, is a panel entitled Kendo! Basically, our friend Katsunori Matsushita is a Yondan, I believe, a Yondan.
I don't know how to say it.
All right, let me put it this way. He is a badass motherfucker when it comes to Kendo. He's a certified instructor. He ran the Kendo club at RIT. He trains in Kendo. Last year, there were some kids playing with Bokuto and Shinai outside of Otakon, and they were trying to spar with each other, and it was kind of dangerous. So Katsu walks over and says, "Can I spar?" And the guy says, "Sure, you ever done this before?" And Katsu says, "Once or twice." And I'll find the pictures whenever I get a chance to post them up.
We got to get a video the next time.
There are 2 frames of interest. Frame number 1 is Katsu standing there and the other guy looking very aggressive trying to hit Katsu. The second frame is a Shinai 1 nanometer away from this guy's eyeball and the guy screaming like a girl and cringing.
Falling over.
Katsu didn't even hit him.
Yeah. It's really awesome when you see him swing the stick because it's like the other guys, they sort of, they don't know how to really sword fight or kendo or anything. They just kind of, feel like they're mimicking movies or whatever. And Kazu just swings the stick really hard and really fast, and he moves right in on you like wicked fast. Like he's standing there, and the next second, he's like swung the stick 5 times in your face.
We have both tried to fight with Katsu, and it doesn't end well.
Yes, but standing off to the side and watching it, there is not much that is as amusing.
I believe the question the guy that he owned asked afterward, and I quote, "What is he?"
Yeah, so if you want to learn about Kendo
Yes.
from a relative, he's not the Kendo master of the world.
His dad is.
Yeah, but he's effectively a Kendo master of some level, far beyond the vast majority of Kendo people in the world.
So he's going to talk about the history of Kendo. He's going to talk about the techniques and all that and the schools. He's probably going to demonstrate a bunch of training and a bunch of moves. And most importantly, safety, because a lot of kids hurt themselves with their stupid swords that they don't know how to use at the con.
Yes, and he's going to show you how to be less stupid.
If the con will allow it, at the end of the panel, there's a good chance that Katsu and I will end a long-running feud. The long story short is that Katsu was the president and ruler of the RIT Kendo Club that we all founded, a bunch of us.
Not me.
Yeah, not Scott, but a bunch of the rest of us, in some political subterfuge at RIT. I was the vice president, which, in addition to being awesome because I felt a lot like Saionji and all that business from Utena, it was an honorary position that technically was supposed to go to the most skilled person in kendo. So the president was elected, the person who ran the
Couldn't
club.
the president and the vice president be the same person?
If that were the case, then the vice president would be the second best person in the club.
Okay.
But due to the fact that I founded the club along with all of them, for a good year, I was the vice president because the rule was you have to challenge the vice president, and I never showed up to the kendo club practices. So that was a dishonor that has been lingering for a long time. And Katsu, a long time ago, challenged me for the title, and I have yet to fight him. So if the con will let us, and if they won't, we'll probably
and there's
do
not
it.
some sort of liability insurance action.
Yeah, but if they won't, we'll probably do it at some point in our travels. Katsu and I will have a short sparring match to demonstrate
Basically,
kendo.
Rim will hold the stick up in the
And
air,
go, "Ah!
and then he'll just drop the stick and run away.
I can run faster than him. That's my only power. It's my secret attack.
Well, you can run faster than him as long as you turn around. If you're sort of standing there, he shuffles really quick. That's like the sword shuffle.
It's kind of surprising. Like, you blink, and he's right there.
Yeah, but actually running, in a marathon, not so much. But standing flat-footed and then suddenly being 10 feet forward, like snap, you're 10 feet forward. It's like, whoa. It's like, pretty cool.
So then, we're not running it, but again, this is one that I've spoken on pretty much every Otakon I've ever been to, is the How to Run an Anime Club, where usually Scott sits in the front of the room and corrects people who make mistakes and answers questions kind of willy-nilly, and I sit
I'll
up
probably
there.
just sit there going, or
Yeah.
probably won't even be there. Who might sit at the artist alley.
You should probably go, because I really want to send our reporters out to report on all the other panels.
Yeah.
Because we need some ammo for our proposal, a modest proposal to Otakon. Mm-hmm. But it's usually a good panel.
I really don't want to go to a lot of those panels, though.
We need to send other people to get reports.
I know. I mostly want to spend my time like I usually do in the live-action video room.
Yep. But our friend Scott Johnson runs this every year, and it's usually a pretty good panel. It wasn't great last year, but there were issues, and I think it'll be a lot better this year.
Yep. So if you care about running anime clubs, this is pretty much the premier How to Run an Anime Club panel ever, so you should go to it.
Now, last and most awesome, we are running Gekiga, putting the man back in manga.
All right, we talked about this already because we're running at Connecticon, but we are running it at Otakon.
We are running it at Otakon, as far as I can see, on Friday night from midnight to 1 in the middle of the panels, and it's going to be 18 plus.
Oh, man. Sorry for you under 18s. But
Yes, this is going to be one of those, because we realized that at Otakon, the 18 plus primetime panels are standing room only, hundreds of people turned away.
Yep.
So we kind of wanted this panel to be 18 plus, even though it didn't really need to be. However,
We could have easily made it not 18 plus. We're doing that at Connecticon.
the fact that Gerald from Anime World Order is involved, I think by fiat makes it 18 plus.
Also, the fact that, by making it 18 plus, but we didn't have to. We just intentionally put some 18 plus stuff in there, which I think will not diminish the content of the panel because we will keep that content there, but we will add extra content that will be humorous.
In fact, I'm going to let you all in on a secret, because our audience is not you. Our audience is people who don't know about this stuff.
Yes, most of I got to be honest, a lot of the reason we're running so many panels at cons is to tell everyone who comes to our panels and enjoys it that they should fucking listen to Geeknights, because it's just like coming to our panels every day, 4 times a week.
So we're going to pull an Ava.
And if they're willing to pay money to go to a con to listen to our panel, then they'll sure as hell download a free MP3 4 times a week to listen to our panel.
What we're going to do is pull the bait and switch. The panel, look, it's going to be 18 plus, putting the man back in manga. People are going to expect something horrible, because the panels going at the same time are all hentai panels.
Yep.
Or yaoi or whatever.
Yep.
So we're going to be in this sea of yaoi and hentai and all these 18 plus people. So they're going to come in expecting the kind of thing that you get from an 18 plus panel. And they're going to get that, but they're also going to get a good half of the panel is going to be very informative, and we are going to try to trick them in and then teach them about real manga and the
Yes.
history of manga and Tezuka and all that stuff.
And hopefully industry people will be there recognizing that, look, see how crowded this panel is? There is a demand for the manly mangas. Freaking bring them over here. You could probably get them real cheap because no one else wants them.
I will point out, we are not actually sexist. However, putting the man back in manga
I think
is...
we're going to have a big disclaimer at the beginning of this panel, even at Connecticon, because we're going to say a lot of sexist things just because a lot of the Gekiga is sexist.
Yeah,
and
pretty horribly, in fact.
But while I disagree with the sexism, it's entertaining, and that's sort of one of the things that makes me like those sorts of mangas.
Yeah.
It's like how I can like Death Note, even though I can't agree with Death Note at all.
I think what the moral is going to be is do not come to our 18-plus Gekiga panel if you are easily offended by the rantings of know-it-all something
Holy
Daryl
no
Surratt.
or anything. Yeah.
Daryl Surratt.
Yes.
If you're offended by Daryl Surratt, do not come to our panel.
Yeah.
At least not our
that
Gekiga panel.
one. Come to the other one.
Yes, come to the other ones.
Also at Otakon, we have a table in the artist alley. It's a table in the way back near the bathroom.
We actually traded with someone else who practically begged us to move.
Yes, but they were also near the bathrooms. All our friends who have tables are spread out all over the artist alley. I looked at the map, so we're not going to have like a podcast alley within the artist alley or anything like that, which is sad. Maybe next year. But
there will be things to do at our table. That's all I'm going to say.
Basically, what we're going to do is when we're not at an event or running an event, we will be at the table, and possibly we're going to try to arrange it so that most of the time, at least one of the front row crew will be manning the table. And you can come to the table to get, talk to us or meet people or hang out or whatever. We're also at Otakon going to arrange an informal meetup at some point, probably like last year. And more information on that once the Otakon schedule comes out and we know what time we should do that. I think that's about it.
I think it is.
So, next 2 weekends, SuperCons. This week is the last week of episodes of Geeknights. Next week is going to be like 3 episodes maybe. And the week after that, 4 specials. And we need people to, make episodes of Geeknights to fill in that week of 4 specials, or else you're going to get episodes similar to last year.
Last year.
Yes.
Granted, some people really like those episodes.
Some people did like those episodes.
You know what?
But
Some people like getting poked in the eye, too.
Yes, they like the episodes that someone else made for us more than they like those episodes.
Yes, and I just want to say again that Richard and Allison from Movies You Should See did a really good job, and they're really cool people.
Yep. We'll see. Hopefully people will do just as good this year.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.